G'day folks, the latest Super Spuddy. It's been a while since I've done a Super Spuddy video, but here we are, we're back. And Marty Ritz is with us today. I'm going to show you a photo in a minute that's going to blow your mind. He has an amazing story. He has come a long way in just 6 months of following Spud Fit. So I'll let him tell you all about it. But before we do, I stuffed up. I have no idea how, but for some reason, the video that we took, I had video, and I don't know what happened to the video, but we've only got sound. So, but the interview was too good to just let it go and try to re-record it. So we're going with the sound that we've got, and I'll just overlay pictures of Marty for you to look at and admire while you're listening along. And please listen through. Marty's full of wisdom and advice, and he has changed his life, and you can too. So if you want to learn more, go to spudfit.com. You can sign up for free. You can join our Facebook group for free if you sign up there. And yeah, try and get some of this action that Marty's got. So again, sorry the video is not working, but look at the photos and enjoy. All right, welcome to another Super Spuddy interview. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but this is a good one, I'm sure. I know a lot of people saw the photo of Marty that I shared, or the before and after photos that I shared, which Marty posted first. And so, yeah, if you've seen those and you're wondering how the hell it happened, then let's try and find out. So today we've got Marty Ritz with us. G'day, Marty. How are you going today? Thanks for
Good.
joining.
How's everybody? Yeah. Yeah.
All good. Uh,
Yeah.
so to start off with, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and you know what life was like before you found potatoes, and you know a little bit about that.
Yeah. I was always athletic and stuff growing up and into sports and everything. I was playing football and wrestling and rugby and I always had jobs that were always physical in nature and stuff. And I think after I got past 40 years old, somewhere after that, just my metabolism started slowing down and I started gaining weight and I changed my job. So I had more of a sit down job and stuff since then. And then one day I remember going swimming and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, whoa, I've like put on a lot of weight, right? Because since I started Spud Fit, I'm down 50 pounds from what I was before, right? And I think, as time goes by, it's almost like you have scotoma or something like that. You always see yourself in an image of what you used to be, but you don't really get that you've changed, and it hasn't really hit you like the realization of it. But I just remember looking in the mirror. I'm like, whoa, is that me? Have I really gone like, like put on weight? Like I haven't. This has gone on like I haven't even noticed it till like just now looking in the mirror. How has this happened, right? So I was like, well, I need to actually like put an effort into like getting fit. Like I need to not just like have it naturally happen like I used to, but I actually need to like focus on this and like address this, right? You know what I mean? So I try to I try to like eat less and exercise more, but that's, like something like that. It's just so general. Like, I mean, eat less, what does that mean? Exercise more, what does that mean? Like an exercise an extra minute, that'll do it. I need something concrete, to follow that says, hey, if you just do this, eat this at this time, and within 3 months you'll weigh this, something scientific, like just do that, follow this, and you'll get these results. That's kind of what I was looking for. So I was trying to like starve myself. I was, still eating kind of the same things, but trying to cut my calories. And even though I was exercising and stuff, like nothing was working, right? Like, I mean, I maybe go down maybe like 10 pounds from exercises like daily and being really hungry and stuff. And it just seemed like, this is futile, right? Because I mean, you can cut weight, temporarily, a significant amount of weight too. But I mean, if it's not sustainable, then it's just like a temporary thing, right? And I mean, you'll just rebound back up to whatever weight you are if you don't have something that's sustainable, right? So I mean, you can only like eat less and exercise more so much to create a difference, but it's not long term, right? And it's not going to be sustainable. So I was thinking, you know what? This is also complicated, calories and times you eat and fasting and like food combinations. I said this is just like you know, waste of time. You know what I mean? Like it's just too
Yeah.
much, right? I thought, you know, if there was something that was made, right? I was kind of like along the same sort of lines that you were. If there was some sort of pill you could take, right? This little like capsule almost, right? That they contain all the nutrients you need, like a little biscuit or something. You just take that once a day or once every 3 days or like 3 times a day or something, and that's your all your nutrients that you need, and you're not going to be hungry after you eat it, and that's it. That's all you need for food. You don't need to try to cut calories. You don't need to try to eat this and avoid that and all this kind of stuff. You just take this thing and it cures the hunger thing, gives you all the nutrients you need. You know, if there's like, you know, person out in outer space like on Star Trek or something, you just eat this one little thing and that's your food that you need, right? And you're good. I thought if there's just something like that, that's all I need, right? So then I came, you know, shortly after I figured out what it is exactly I need. Then not too long after that, you know, synchronistically, I kind of came across your video, and it was because I was watching, you know, flipping through like, you know, watching magic shows, and one guy's channel, he talks on the magic shows, and he was doing, you know, Penn Jillette, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From Penn and Teller's show, right? So he was saying how he lost weight and stuff, and I googled him, and you know, it was like all potato diet for 2 weeks, and then he went on to like, you know, whole foods, plant-based kind of thing and stuff. And then I came across your videos because it was talking about all potatoes, right? And then I saw that you were just eating potatoes and nothing but potatoes for a year, and I'm like, that's it. That's exactly what I need. Something so simple. It's like you can't fail, right? You know, and it's just all you need to do is just remember one thing, right? Just eat potatoes. And I'm like, I can do that. And I was thinking, you know what? I can act on that like right now. I can just start implementing that like immediately because I don't need to know anything else. I can learn as I go, right? But I mean, as far as starting, I can start right now and just implement the just eat potatoes and learn as I go. And then so I thought, well, I'll just sign up. I was thinking, you know, maybe sign up in January, and this was like July. But you know what? For something so easy, I could just start like on the spot, and then I'll be 50 pounds lighter in January when I could have put it off till. But why put it off when it's such a simple program, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So just
great.
eat potatoes. So I just started like just eating potatoes, and I started going through your videos and stuff, and joining the group and learning from everybody else. And then it's just a thing of transformation, right? Because if we don't transform the mind, then like I mean the implementation of everything, the what to do and stuff like that isn't, you know, is not going to last, because it's really like, you know, it's really like the whole Spud Fit challenge to me. It's really all like a mental transformation, because it's not like just you're trying to
Yeah.
lose weight or something. Because if you just focus on trying to lose weight, then when you get thoughts in your head, oh, I should like eat this, or I'm missing out on, you know, not eating that and stuff. If you don't address that problem, then you're just going to go back to that. Because if you're thinking, well, I just want to lose weight, well, there's lots of ways to lose weight, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like, and if your thoughts are getting to you like, well, I want to like eat this cake or something like that, if that's what your thoughts are and you're not trying to address the thought issue, then you could just drop the diet, because you're thinking, well, I don't want to, it's not worth it to me just to lose weight if I'm going to like be kind of like suffering for the rest of my life. I don't want to be like, you know, 50 pounds lighter, 20 pounds lighter, 10 pounds lighter, if it means like every day I'm going feeling like I'm without, right? So
Yeah.
the whole Spud Fit program to me is about like addressing the whole thought issue, right? So that once you're done with the program, you don't have these, you know, you're trying to work on all the thoughts, the subconscious thoughts that are coming up during the program that you otherwise go unnoticed because you're just acting on it, right? Oh, I should just eat a cake on impulse, right? And just act on it, so you don't really notice these thoughts, but they come to the surface when you're just eating potatoes, because the thoughts are like, hey, you should do this, you should do that, but then they start knocking harder when you avoid them because you're not acting on them, right? So if your objective is not to lose weight, but your objective is to change your mindset, then when the thoughts come, you're like, oh, all these thoughts I'm having, this is the reason why I'm in the program, because I want this to end, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to lose weight and then still have these thoughts, right? And I kind of liken the whole food addiction thing to like that of any other addiction, because you know, if you are a person who's addicted to say cigarettes or something, or alcohol or food, and you're going without, right, but you're still having these nagging thoughts that you still want to do it, you're not really free from it, right? You're just a person who's
Mhm.
not smoking but who's miserable not smoking, right? Or you're just a person who's not eating cake but you're miserable not eating cake. You want to, you know, see yourself in the future not eating cake, being the way you are, but also not having the thoughts that keep you like, you know, tied to that old identity, right? Because once you cut that off and you're actually like, you know, in a healthier weight, and you're healthier, and you don't have the addictive thoughts that you had before that got you, different results, then you're really free. Then you're, like not only in the new identity, right, with the new results, but you're also in a new mentality too, right? Because then you're free. Then you're like actually like just eating, whole plant foods, and you're free from your addiction. So then you're good. Because if you're addicted person having your addiction, you're good because you just feel normal. You have to have your addiction just to feel normal again. Or if you never had the addiction and you just live without it, you're good because you're good without it. You never got addicted to it. But the in between part is not good. You don't want to stay in the in between part like forever, right? You want
Yeah,
to either
yeah,
like be addicted and have your addiction every day and feel fine every day, or not ever get addicted and feel fine because you just feel fine normally without it. But transverse that gap, right? So that you're on the other side without feeling the addicted part too. And that's what I feel like the Spud Fit program is about. That's
yeah.
why I listen to the program, right? Because we could take your mind and stick it into every person's brain, and then it doesn't matter what their situation is, right? Whatever their excuses are. Well, I got kids, or I got like, a job, I got, people that are making this, and all these excuses, right? If you took your brain, you've already gone through the process, right? And you implement it into that person like they do in like the Matrix, like Neo, right?
Yeah,
Then all those excuses wouldn't matter, because what's important is the brain transfer, right? And then the results follow that, right?
yeah. Like,
So
I
that's
guess
what I find
that's
is really key.
yeah. I guess that's sort of what we're trying to do with the Spud Fit Challenge program is, maybe not take my whole brain, but take the related parts and implant them somehow. So that's a really
Well,
good way
like
to put
like
it.
all your thoughts, right? Like you spend like a whole year, right,
Yeah,
doing this. But so I mean, you're gonna go. I mean, all your insights and everything, right? You come across this challenge, and then you write about it on your blog, or you make a video about it, or it's in your one of your courses, right? The Spud Fit Challenge course videos, or the Mega Foods course videos, and you put all that in there. So if you watch those, over and over again, then when you come, when a person like myself, right, comes across one of those challenges, I don't have to live the whole year and try to figure it out myself. I've already kind of got the same thoughts, the same thought process that you've already obtained. You took a year to do,
yeah,
right? I can just kind of like,
yeah.
go
Well,
through the
yeah.
program and get all that thought process in my brain as I go, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, hopefully, yeah, that's the aim of my experience. It took me a long time to figure stuff out, and yeah, by putting it all together, I hope that it can accelerate the process for other people. So, yeah, I'm glad it's had that effect for you. This is the best part of the whole experience for me is that people like you having experiences as well that I've been able to play a part in. So, that's really cool, and I relate to so much of what you just said is it's especially the athlete thing. I was a former elite long distance kayaker, and I was, I lost 120 pounds during that year, but that's 55 ish kilos for people that want kilos. But yeah, even when I was at my heaviest, I still had in my head, just like you, that I'm an athlete. I still had this deluded idea in my head that I'm an athlete, and I was the furthest thing from an athlete in reality, but it's just there, and I don't know, I just never let go of that idea, and then yeah, maybe that was probably a big part of my journey was going, yeah, you know what, you're not an athlete. Stop kidding yourself. you know, stop trying to fool yourself. This is just, it's not the truth. So accept it, and if you want to be an athlete, you can be. You can do something about it. But right now, the athletic days are long gone. So, but yeah, I'm sort of getting closer to that at the moment. I'm not as fit as I was, but I'm on the way. But that's not the point anyway. And I also really related to what you said about looking for that magic pill, or something that you could take, because I did spend quite a bit of time trying to find something like that, and doing shakes. I did lots of people have done shakes where you just have meal replacement shakes, and yeah, that just made me miserable and frustrated, and that because they do, some of them are okay, and some of them, they give you some nutrition and whatever, but they don't take away the hunger. Like, you need the hunger gone as well, and that's where potatoes, make a big difference, because they give you all the nutrition, but they also mean you don't have to be hungry and grumpy about being hungry and all those sorts of things. So yeah, you're telling a lot of my own story there, and I'm glad that that I've been able to help at least speed up the process by sharing what I know with you. So yeah, lots of people are going to have some questions for you. So I guess we'll start with the biggest, most obvious one first, which everyone wants to know is how much weight have you lost so far?
Oh yeah, I lost over 50 pounds because it started out like over 211. Like 211 was last time I weighed myself before I began, and then I went down to like minus, or sorry, I went down to like 157 or something. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So like I'm
Right.
at around like, you know, take or give, like I keep around like 100, 160. So that's like over, 50 pounds from when I started. And I did like, as soon as I got on the program, like uh, in July of last year, I just went straight potatoes, nothing else for probably like, I don't know, like at least like a month and a half, and then I started maybe adding some chives or something like that to my
Yep.
potatoes, and then I just kept on the potatoes. But like you're saying in your videos, right? You want to start off with mentality of just potatoes only, right? Because it's really easy to focus on, and like 100% of doing something is way easier than like 95%.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to like go through a thing where you're trying to break boards or something like that, if you do it like all out, you just smash through the board easily. But if you try to just do like 80%, you'll never break through, and you'll just get your, like you just it's futile, right? You just never break through, and you just keep hurting your hand, but you never give enough force to break through, right? So 100%. And I just really like the simplicity, and I forget where I'm going with this, but
It's
it
all
was
good. It's all good. They were good points. So yeah, I love that idea. It's definitely for many people, not for everyone, of course, but for a lot of people, it is easier to go 100% all in than it is to, yeah, just go 99% and have that cheat meal or the cheat day once a week. Like lots of people try to do it. For a lot of us, it's really hard to come back from that. So yeah, really, really well made points. Another question that a lot of people are going to have is about exercise. So how much exercise have you done? How much has that played a part, do you think?
Right, right. Yeah, I remember like I just want to follow up just from my last point is just the
Yeah.
whole thing about like being narrow-minded, right? Just potatoes
Mm,
only because it makes
yeah.
everything easier. If you walk into a store, your mind's not thinking, "Oh, can I eat that? Can I eat that?" Right? You walk in with the mentality that everything's off limits, so your mind doesn't even entertain any thoughts, which makes it really easy, right? Because the whole
Yeah.
temptation thing is a big thing, but you don't need any willpower if you're 100% resolve that there's no gap in your mind to let in thoughts that you can veer off here, veer off there. That's where it's challenging, right? So anyways, your question was right now like about exercise, right? So when I first started, I know like a couple of weeks in I started to really change because I think my microbiome changes. So I think if your microbiome changes, what the foods that you crave will change because it's kind of
Yeah.
like the microbiome is craving food, but as it changes and you start to crave different things. So I started to crave different things. I know my energy too. Like I just feel like almost kind of like, you know, I feel like I just need to spontaneously drop on the floor and do some push-ups every once in a
Yeah.
while to get rid of some extra energy, right? But I mean, I've never like started some sort of like uh, just from like random spurts of trying to like just get rid of extra energy. Like it never made any kind of like, exercise program or anything like that because the whole thing like with weight loss is it's not exercise at all. Like, there's no I've never lost weight trying to increase my exercise. It just got me hungrier. And it's what you can eat like 300 or 500 calories worth of extra calories just by having a couple donuts or muffin or something like that. And you can do that like in one instant, right? Like in a couple minutes. But to take off those extra 100 calories or a few hundred calories, I mean, you got to go and jog for like 2 hours or something, right? Where it's so much easier just cutting stuff out of your diet, right? you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
it's just so much easier just like relaxing here and just going, yeah, I'll just pass on the donut, I'll just pass on the muffin. I mean, that there just saved me like going out and jogging for like 2 hours, right? so any- so I mean, like when I first started, like when I changed to potatoes only, like I mean they were really satiating with because potatoes are the most satiating, and they're mostly, fiber and water, and then your nutrients, right? And they're satiating, so you have low calories and high satiation. And my because they're plain too, my desire to eat just kind of drops, like my appetite, right? Because
Yeah.
it's almost like we increase our own appetite by throwing on all this sugar and salt and fat and stuff. It increases a false appetite, right? Like you
Mhm.
weren't hungry before. You walk into a mall and you get triggered to go and buy something just because you're not hungry, but you're just triggered, right? You smell
Yeah.
something, you're triggered. You see something, you're triggered. It's just this false appetite that we're trying to like continuously feed, right? But it's never satisfied, right? So that kind of goes away because you're just eating plain potatoes, and you're actually just eating when you're actually just hungry, right? So like I found like I'm like, man, I can get by like just eating like, I think the first few days I was eating like, say, maybe like 9 potatoes. I'm like, you know what, I'm full. I don't feel like there's
Yeah.
need to eat, right? Unless I go out and I get triggered to eat something, right? But then I keep my potatoes on me. I eat my potatoes, and that decreases my
Yeah.
thoughts about like, oh, I need to like eat something, right?
Yeah,
But I
that's a really
just
important point. That keeping your potatoes with you. I think that's a big one.
all the time.
Yeah. So like that example that you mentioned, where you go to the mall or whatever, and you get triggered by the smells, or whatever. You walk past McDonald's and you smell that, and if that's a or donut shop or whatever, all these smells are triggering, and suddenly you're hungry. Where you know people are constantly amazed, and I've stopped being amazed by it, but people are constantly amazed by how if you go to the mall and when you park your car, just eat a couple of potatoes, or fill up on potatoes and then go into the mall. The smells mean nothing to you anymore. When you're already full, it's easy to say no. Like I always say it's easy to say no to things that you don't want. And yeah, and that's the situation you're creating when you fill up on potatoes before you get into those triggering situations. It just makes it so much easier. And I guess that also goes back to, you mentioned a little bit ago that not needing willpower. That's a
Mm,
huge part of this, because you're not going to be successful long term if you're relying on willpower, because nobody on the face of the planet has unlimited willpower. We need to find ways to make the healthy choice the easy choice, and that's what you're doing with keeping potatoes with you, and being prepared for those situations, those triggering situations, by being already full, or at least having potatoes with you so you can recognize when it's going on and go, yeah, I really feel like a donut now. Oh, hang on, I've got potatoes with me. I'll just eat a couple of potatoes and see what happens to that feeling. And it always goes away. So yeah, that was a really good point to bring up about being prepared. That's I always think, yeah, half the battle is actually being physically prepared with having the potatoes or whatever. When you finish with only potatoes, your other healthy foods, having it ready, and so that it's easy, you can just grab food and eat. That's half the battle, and then the other half is the mental side of things that you've alluded to already. So yeah. What do you have any tips for other people of how you get through your cravings, or how you've gotten through tough situations yourself?
yeah. So I'm just looking for water here because I'm like thirsty. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, like basically, like I don't want to have any willpower to be involved with any of this whatsoever, right? I don't want to be like, well, I need willpower every single day for the rest of my life to keep on a diet or something. I want to be happy doing a diet that is fulfilling and satisfying, and I don't need willpower to not eat whatever kinds of foods because I feel left out or something, missing out or something like that, right? So I mean, really, over the course of re framing everything and watching videos and listening and learning and stuff like that, I mean, my desire to eat foods that are sugar, salt, fat, you know, all carbohydrates with low nutrients and just increase hunger and stuff like that. I mean, my desire to partake in eating that is just naturally, organically decreased on itself, right? Just naturally, and that's important because I mean, I want to honestly not desire to eat cake. Like I actually have no desire to eat cake, right? And that's a lot easier just to like pass up cake than actually feeling like, oh, I really want to eat cake, and I'm just denying myself, because then you're thinking, well, what is it really worth it to be at a lower weight, but always being like wanting and want or something like that? No, you want to be at a lower weight, but also not have any desire for this food that's just poison for you, that's addictive, and it's addictive thing like like smoking is, or alcohol is, or cocaine is. All these things are like that, right? Like sugar and flour, it's all processed stuff that affects our brain the exact same as cocaine and heroin. So like to realize that, and to kind of be free from that, and not to have a desire to get back into that once you're free from that, is freeing, right? Because like, I mean, you're not missing out on anything if you don't get addicted to anything, right? Like there's lots of things out there that, I mean, I could start skiing every day and then feel like, well, if I cut that out from my life, I would be, missing out. But I mean, if I never even got into it in the first place, I'm not really missing out on anything, because there's lots of things out there that I don't even know exist, right? So if you came into this world and you had two choices, one is to become addicted to food that you shouldn't eat, and have to continuously, like a daily struggle every single day to not eat that food that you don't want to eat, but you can't stop eating it. Or you can just like never have that food in the first place and just eat healthy whole foods that make you feel good and healthy, and you never have this addiction struggle, this addiction problem. What would you choose? And it would make sense that, oh, I just have the no problem scenario and just go into life like that, right? So that's what I want to get back to, the pre-addiction, the part where you're not missing out on anything, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing. We're not born with a sugar deficit or something like that, you know what I mean, or something that we need to fill, right?
Yeah.
And in nature, right, we still have the same brains in nature that, because I'm learning all this stuff, right, that we had, say, like 10,000 years ago and stuff, and all the the sugar, the fats, the salts and stuff, they were never like isolated like we're doing now with our foods and stuff.
Yeah.
And we just got to, like processing just straight sugar, right, and straight fat stuff. But in nature, it was never like that. It was part of a combined food, and we didn't have all three ingredients together, right, or the sugar and fat together. And now, we got scientists, their full-time job is just to make food as addictive as possible, and throw in fat together with sugar, and make things like in salt, and make things so we can't stop eating it, right? And it's just deteriorating our health, right? And to realize that there's there's this going on, right? You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
in supermarkets, right? And then when you're shopping, I mean, just go for your Whole Foods, and you're good. Like if
Yeah.
like I like watching lots of YouTube videos, but like the Dr. Brooke Goldner's interview with Chef AJ, and she's talking about her kids. She says her kids just eat, just munch on like lettuce and stuff like that, because they grew up just eating the whole foods when they were babies, and they have a
Yeah.
taste for that, and they just naturally don't have a taste for like like the chips and stuff like that, right? And it's just
Yeah. No,
organically,
my
like
kids are a lot the
there's no
same.
willpower thing there, right?
Yeah, no, my kids are a lot the same. My kids do eat like a little bit of junk food from time to time. If they're if there's a party going on or something, I'm not super strict on making sure they never have that stuff. But overall, they're very happy with plain, boring foods. They don't
Mm.
need a lot of flavor. They're very happy with, last night they had basically they just had fruit for dinner. They just wanted fruit, and that's fine by me. And they're pretty happy with just a potato with maybe a little bit of salt, or just potato on its own. Even my youngest boy just loves to just eat a sweet potato. That's it. Just nothing on it. He just loves it. Yeah, it's great. And if you never get to that point where you need, I love it. I love that idea that if you could choose from birth what you're going to eat, then yeah, of course, it's a no-brainer. You'd only just choose the healthy food. Why would you even contemplate eating cake if you could choose to avoid it? Yeah, that's great. And I also loved you mentioned reframing thoughts. So I wanted to dig into that a little bit more, because that's a big thing for me. About I have this saying: if you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want becomes the sacrifice. And that's really a reframing idea of, we get all these thoughts about, I'm missing out on this, or I'm sacrificing that, or you know all these different thoughts that are sort of negative thoughts about, missing out or depriving or whatever. And yeah, we can switch those thoughts around and reframe them to look at every situation differently, and turn negative thoughts into positive thoughts, really. So yeah, I'm interested in to go a little bit deeper with you on how you reframe thoughts and how you think that has affected your experience.
Yeah, sure. I really like that concept.
Yeah.
And yeah, with I just add in too, like with my last comment, how to like, go without like, um, you know, to get past cravings is, if you set up your environment as much as you possibly can, that
Mm.
really helps too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if it's in your house, it's like more likely to be eaten than if you keep stuff out of your house, right?
Yep.
So like environment, as much as you possibly can. I know people live with other people and stuff, but it's just trying to set up your environment so it works with you, right? You know, so
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, with what if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes a sacrifice. Like what I try to really work on is the whole concept of like thinking that you're giving up something, right? So I don't think like, like if I give up if I have a piece of cake, right? And I really want that piece of cake, like let's say genuinely I feel like I'm giving up and I think, well, I gotta weigh that against, being healthy and losing weight and it's kind of one or the other. I mean, to me, like if I just stop right there, I'm thinking, well, if I just have the little piece of cake, then that it's so insignificant. It's not going to make that much of a deal, for my overall health, 30, 40 years later, the trying to weigh that. So what I did is I always try to group like, the whole, kind of like all or nothing. If I was to eat not just that one piece of cake, that one spoonful that's not really going to make a big deal, over my overall health. But what if I was to do that like every day and every meal and then over the course of 40 years, where would that lead me? Opposed to like I always never eating that and I was eating healthy food over the course of 40 years. What would the end result be after 40 years of doing this every single day, every single meal, you make that your choice, or every single meal, every single day, making this your choice? And if I weigh it like an all or nothing kind of thing, here I can see myself 256 pounds or something, 30 years down the line, and I'm sitting on a sofa and I'm like, in bad health, right? Or here I'm like 145 pounds or something, super fit, and make the contrast, one of the future, but not something that's, like a contrast that's, between this and this, because right in the immediate, right, a little bite of cake, it's not gonna, make that much a difference, to outweigh like why not do it, right? But if I make the contrast, like see myself in the future, like you're saying in your in your meditation kind of thing, say where you're going to be tomorrow and stuff like that, that has a greater weight, you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
between here and here, there's like, a couple 100 pounds difference and a big difference in weight. That's easier to say, well, I'm going to choose this all the time, because just choosing this little bit that's not going to really make a difference leads into doing this habitually,
Yeah.
daily, and then habitually mealy, and then, every meal, and then it's habitually like all the time, and it just becomes a lifestyle. And there's no kind of thing like, you really have to kind of keep on top of this whole mentality of like, oh, just a little bit isn't going to really make a difference, because just a little bit is how you went from like, just sitting on the seashore to way you're way out in the middle of the ocean. You're like, how did I get way out here, right? So you got to really just like kind of cut it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
I
and
love
think
it.
kind of like, like it's got to be like see yourself in the in the future,
Yeah.
and oh, and two, like, I'm always like experimenting in my brain and seeing what, kind of like analyzing what's going on, right? So I mean, I was at a Starbucks, for example, just like at a Starbucks. I was thinking, I'd really like a coffee, like a cafe mocha or something like that, right? But I'm gonna go without, because I'm gonna do this all potato thing, right? And it's not part of the, in the guidelines. It's just potatoes only. So I was thinking, I'll put it off. And in that moment, I felt kind of like, if there was within me like a container, like a jar that's empty, right? I kind of feel like I'm kind of going without, right? Like I created like an empty jar, and that's with our thoughts too. Is we create these needs that didn't exist before that we need to fill in order just to feel normal again, right? We have this thought of, oh, I need this thing, and then unless we fulfill that need, then we feel kind of like this incompleteness, right? But I put it off, and I went to bed, and I when I woke up that morning, something surprising happened, because that jar that I went to bed kind of like originally with it being empty, all of a sudden turned into a jar that was full of like, contentment and self like edification, or feeling good, that I it was full. I went to
Yeah.
bed with it empty, and I woke up with it full of like, oh, I feel really good about myself, and I feel like healthier, and
Yeah.
I'm really glad I didn't do that. Like my jar that was empty was a container for fulfillment. the next
Yeah,
morning when I woke up.
I
And
love
in
that.
contrast, if I drank the thing or something like that, that jar that for the moment would be like, oh, I feel really good because I'm drinking it in the moment, but that jar would soon turn bitter. After it would be like all that consumption would be like regret, and it would feel like, oh, I shouldn't have did that, and why did I do that, and I'm going off on the wrong track and stuff like that, right? So it was just like a jar that's either like initially something that's full of sugar or something like that, and it makes you feel good in the moment but turns bitter thereafter, or it's a jar that initially you think you're missing out on something, but it's actually like a container that you wake up the next morning that's full of like really good self-esteem and good feelings that you did that, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful way to look at it, and yeah, it really is all about just learning new ways to look at things and learning to reframe thoughts. And that jar analogy or metaphor is a really good one. I love that one, and it reminds me of when I was doing my Spud Fit year, I was constantly getting told that it's too boring and it's too all these things that are wrong with it. And my reply was always that I've never had a better year ever. My food is boring. Yeah, you're right. My food is boring. But the way I feel about life and my outlook on life is 180 degrees turnaround from what it was the year before. And these food doesn't exist in a vacuum in our life. It's not life doesn't exist like with different compartments where we have food here, we have like job here, we have family here, we have sport here, whatever, all these different compartments that are isolated from each other. They're all interwoven and interconnected, and we don't we can leave enjoyment of food and just allow that to just be boring and whatever. That's food is not a huge part of our enjoyment of life anymore, and then all these other things just come in to take its place, and our enjoyment of life gets even more because we got rid of that that momentary what is it instant gratification sort of thing that we're used to getting from food. So yeah, that's that. I really love that jar sort of metaphor that you used, and yeah, and I like your discussion of deprivation just in general as well. And one thing that I use is when I'm thinking of missing out on X, Y, or Z food is depriving myself of something. I like to flip it around and another exercise in reframing thoughts and say, yeah, okay, yeah, I am depriving myself of a chocolate brownie. That is a deprivation. But on the other hand, if I go and eat the chocolate brownie, if I actually eat it, then what am I depriving myself of by making that choice? So either way, I'm depriving myself of something. I can deprive myself of the chocolate brownie, or I can deprive myself of good health and happiness and those sorts of things. So yeah, that's this is a really great discussion. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on a little bit was that you already mentioned was about this becoming a habitual thing. I think that's really important because you know when you just for a lot of people come and do the Spud Fit challenge and it's just a thing they want to try. They want to drop 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever. They want to lose some weight and that's that. And so let's just give this thing a try. And that's fine. People are welcome to do that, no problem. But what they're doing then is it's just the thing that they're trying. Whereas your approach that you're talking about, making it habitual, when you turn healthy living, healthy choices, all of that, when it stops being something that you're trying for a little while and it starts being just becoming a part of who you are, then that's really the aim here. And your talk of habits is it's far more beneficial in my eyes to focus on the habit than it is the result of the habit. If you get the habit right, the result takes care of itself. Whereas if you focus on the results, then you never really get the habit down. And that's when everything comes back, all the weight comes back because you're not in control of your habits. So maybe I've talked too much about that. I should have let you talk more about that. But what are your thoughts on habits?
Yeah, just like, yeah, your focus needs to be on the right thing, right? Like through the Spud Fit challenge, your focus needs to be on the fact that you're always getting all these thoughts that are making you eat this food. And when you're getting those thoughts through the Spud Fit challenge and you're working on changing your mindset, then those thoughts become the reason why you do the program and why you continue the program versus why you quit the program. right? So it's very completely different. So you want to focus on like weight loss. You want to focus on the reason why you gain weight in the first place, and then you focus on that, and then the weight naturally drops because you're not continuing to do the things that get you to those results, right? and and I just want to mention too, like you're saying, like it was like this split thing. You're getting comments about like it being boring, right? And it is it is boring, but
Yeah.
I mean the opposite to that. I mean, what are the alternatives, right? Like, I mean, I did lose weight before trying, like exercising a lot and eating less, but I was so hungry all the time, right? And it's just not sustainable to be starving. For the rest of your life. So here you can eat whatever you can eat as much as you want, but you're just eating potatoes.
Yeah.
So you simplified everything and you're not hungry, right? Your body's getting everything you need. You can eat all the potatoes you want, but you're just losing weight, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it is boring, but I mean, you can lose weight and never feel hungry, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And if just eating potatoes becomes a thing, like you're just going to your gas station to fill up your car with gas, it just becomes like a non-issue. It's not like he makes food so much is about food today in our society, right?
Yeah.
We celebrate with food. We eat when we're hungry. We eat when we're not hungry. We eat when we're bored. We eat when we're sad. We eat when we're happy. Like everything's like social, right? You know what I mean? Parties and everything. You go over to somebody's house, they offer you food, and everything's around food. But if food's like just like filling up your vehicle, your body with nutrition, like you fill up your car with gas, it's just like really now. I mean, if I just kind of get hungry, I just throw a potato in the microwave for 4 minutes and then I just eat it. And then
Yeah.
I don't think about give it any more thought than that, right?
Yeah.
It's a
That's
no
cool.
issue, right?
Yeah,
It's just frees
exactly.
my mind. And when I started, right, I was like my brain felt like it was in a compressor, right? I felt like it was in like one of those. I felt like I need variety. I need to figure out how to make like 1,001 different dishes out of this one potato, right? I need to go to the store and get all these different kinds of mustards to try on this. I need to do something, right? I can't just eat potatoes. It's so boring, right? I felt like it was in a pressure cooker, right? But I found like as I go on, like all that has left me. Now I just want to simplify. I just want to eat a potato just because I'm hungry, right? The
Yeah.
same way, if I'm thirsty, I just want to grab a clean glass of water. I don't need to make like iced tea. I don't need to go to the store and buy pop. I don't need juice. I just need some water because I'm thirsty. So the same sort of thing with the food
Yeah.
is I'm just hungry. I just need to eat a plain potato and I'm good. I don't need to add anything to it. I just need some nutrition and it's a non-issue. I just need to eat something, right? And I just
Yeah,
eat
for
it just like I'm
sure.
grabbing a glass of water, right? I don't give any
Yeah.
more thought than that.
Yeah, I love the idea of the filling up your car with fuel because I often say to people that when your car needs fuel, you don't drive past the gas station because it looks like a boring one, and you keep driving because you want to find the most interesting gas station. Like, who cares? Just stop and fill up your car. That's not like it's not fun.
And
You accept that stopping to fill up your car is not fun. It's boring. It slows you down. Well, it doesn't actually slow you down because if you run out of gas, that slows you down even more. But it's just it's a chore, and you don't really want to do it, but you got to do it if you want to get where you want to go. Then you got to do it. So
well,
you just
that
accept it and you do it.
That, that's
And
the thing, right? Make your life interesting, your food boring.
yeah,
So like you're filling up, you're just grabbing something to eat and you're not giving any more thought than that. Then you're going on to do whatever you want to do with the extra time that you have because you're not spending like 5 hours trying to make a meal,
yeah,
right? And if you saw like at the gas station, a whole bunch of people all, you know, come together every day at 12 o'clock, for lunchtime and they all fill up their cars, they all chit chat and they spend a couple hours there and then they all reconvene at 7 o'clock and they all like make a big thing out of filling up their cars, right? You'd be like, that's such like you guys are like, you guys are socializing, but you could just like stop here for 2 minutes, fill up your car and go to wherever you're going, right? It
yeah,
seemed kind of like an almost like waste of time, right? You know,
yeah,
and that's almost like with our meals, right? I mean, we're just grabbing something to eat, right?
yeah,
It's like our meals are turned into this whole social thing, right? But I mean, it just makes us eat more and eat for no reason and eat a bunch of cakes and cookies and stuff that are offered to us when we go to people's homes because that's what we're offered, right? People usually
yeah,
say, "Would you like to have some lettuce or something?" They're like, "Hey, would you like some cookies and stuff like that?" Right? So I mean, it's just really turned into this big social thing, right? And food is kind of like turned from like just eating for nutrition. Like we're in our hunter-gatherer days, to like, it's a social thing now where it's just full of like eating sweets and cakes and teas and this whole thing that goes with the social thing right now. Where it's not just to fill up our
yeah. Well,
thing.
that's a good time to ask that question. Then maybe it's different. We're going through COVID and stuff, so social occasions for lots of us are few and far between. But have you had any sort of social experiences with food and, occasions where you might have normally gone and eaten a whole heap of stuff that doesn't support your health? Has that been a factor for you at all? And if so, how did you get through it?
I just opt out of all social stuff. Like when I
Yeah.
go to people's houses and stuff, I just say, yeah, I'll just pass. I already ate. I'm good. Thanks. I don't delve like, like kind of like, you know, engage at all, like 0% when it comes to like food. Like I'll just like, if anything, I'll grab a glass of water, but I just find it easier not kind of going down the slippery slope. Cause if I find like, from past experience, if I accept one little thing, then my mind starts going, oh, you just accepted that, you
Yeah.
just had a coffee. Why don't you just have some cream with your coffee, and why don't you just grab a little bite of a cookie too while you're at it? And since you're doing that, why don't you just grab like a piece of cake? Ah, you know, like 10 hours later, you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, what happened? What happened? Right? You're like, I went in there and I just thought I'd just have like a little bit. And then, you eat like, who knows, like 10 pounds worth of food or something like that. But I mean, I just stop it, right? I go in with the mentality of like, I'm not going there to eat, right? I don't engage that. Like maybe it'll change later, when I've been, when my diet's solid and stuff like that. But I mean, at the beginning, I think the least amount of extra stuff you have going on in your brain and stuff like that, you know what I mean, is just easier, right? And I think just
Yeah.
100% it's way easier, right? I mean, if you have a dam, right, that's holding in water, and you just poke out a little bits of water can start flowing, and then it gets kind of bigger, and then it starts, kind of chipping away at the concrete or something like that. Eventually, it all just breaks. It all just breaks, right? You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just find like, if you're holding a door closed and you got it 100% shut, it's easier to keep it shut than if you start opening up a little crack and then a little bit more and a little bit more, and just keeps
Yeah.
pushing itself out, right? Like it's just find like 100% is just the mentality of it's just so much
Yeah.
easier for your brain to not have all of this, constant chit chat. You just put your brain to sleep and say it's done. It's just I'm just eating potatoes only. That's why I just like the potatoes only. I don't like potatoes plus this plus that. But like I mean, when I go on to like the mega foods and stuff, it'll still be my narrow, uh, outlook on potatoes only, but I'm opening up a bit, with some of my
Yeah.
parameters and stuff to add in, a bit of, like whole foods and stuff that go with that. But I still live with my parameters, and that's why like so here's the key point, right? Going down to like, if you're eating, the general like processed foods and stuff like that, and you go down to eating a whole food plant-based diet and stuff, then I mean going from where you were down to that level is kind of going to be tough, right? Going dropping all that, and you haven't changed your mentality or anything like that, but you're just trying to eat plants or whole foods and stuff like that, but you haven't changed your mentality, and you dropped out a bunch of your food. So I'm not sure how much, how hard that is for people, and their success rate and stuff to keep that lasting and stuff like that. But I was watching like one of the episodes in the Crocs in the Kitchen, right? And they went on the all potato thing, and then they went up to the Whole Foods thing after that. And he was the one guy who was saying, you know what? Because we did the potatoes only for a length of time, and then we went up to Whole Foods instead of starting, going down to Whole Foods, right? Because we went all the way down to potatoes only, and then from there we kind of like stepped up a notch, and then we incorporated some more foods, stepping up a notch to incorporate, like say a mega foods lifestyle or a whole food plant based lifestyle, kind of makes it like you're including more, you're gaining more now. You're
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
going to that level losing, you're going to that level gaining, right? You're stepping up from what you just did, right? And when you're just on potatoes only, you start to crave stuff like, oh, I want some broccoli, or I want some like lettuce, or you start craving good foods, right? So then when you get good foods, it's not like, oh, it's not like oh, you have to only eat good foods now, and it's like some sort of prison. It's like, oh, I get to eat like something more than just potatoes, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
starting off with that spud fit challenge for your 30 days or whatever you do it for, right? And then going into that next level where you incorporate some more foods actually gives you time to retrain your brain, regrow all your taste buds, because they grow after totally new after 2 weeks, and all your food tastes different, right? So if you were to try different foods, maybe something that you remember that you liked Now, like if you incorporated that into your diet, maybe you try cake and it's like, you know what, this doesn't taste the same as what I remember it, right? And I'm only addicted to my idea of it. I'm only addicted to my memory of it.
Mm.
But now that
Yeah.
I tried some of these other foods after I got used to like a new taste and stuff like that, it's not really how I remember it at all. I
Yeah.
actually don't have a desire to eat it. It's just like I have a desire to fulfill this memory of it, that how it used to be, right? But it's not
Yeah.
actually how it is now because I changed. Our bodies are always changing. Our foods are always changing. So, anyways, my point is, you go down to the Spud Fit challenge, right? You do that for a length of time. You go through all the like crazy chit chat in your brain, and you work through that, and then you come out with a clean slate so you can incorporate a new diet. You know, go with the mega foods or whole food plant based diet, something like that, and then it becomes kind of like a sense of more freedom for what you just had. It's not like a bondage or something from like going from the all high caloric dense foods with no like with no sustenance and stuff, and then you're trying to like have this implement this other diet without having changed your mentality and having regrown your taste buds and having this reset time period, right? So I would imagine your success rate at sustaining this new diet plan that's whole foods and you really actually enjoy it, right? You're
Yeah.
totally fulfilled out of it. You're not feeling like you're missing out on taste or anything, because I mean you could eat say blueberries or strawberries or some avocado or some salad and stuff with some homemade dressing that's good or something, and is all like this is really good food and it's all healthy. So I don't feel
Yeah.
like I'm missing out. Like I'm feeling like I'm all my needs to satiate my desire to eat well and satisfy all these different cravings is new cravings, and I'm feeling really healthy, and I'm doing that within the parameters of this new diet. I don't feel like I'm missing out or anything like that, right? And
Yeah.
that's where
That's
you want
great.
to be, right?
Yeah, fantastic. It's a really good way to look at it. Yeah, it does. I don't know what the stats are. I probably should try to get some stats on this, but yeah, obviously not everyone who does a Spud Fit challenge keeps the weight off. I'm not gonna kid yourself. Everyone loses weight, but not everyone keeps it off. But yeah, I would. My guess is that the level of the number of people who keep the weight off would be far higher than on a normal, on the average typical diets that everybody tries. So, yeah, it would be. I don't know if there's a way that I can actually. There probably is. I must be able to figure it out and find it out. But yeah, it's all about that mindset change and getting those habits right, and understanding that the problem is the habits. The weight gain
Mhm.
that we have. That's a symptom. That's just a symptom of the bigger picture, and the bigger issue is your habits. And so focus on the habits, deal with that, and the rest will take care of itself. And yeah, that if you do the hard thing first, do potatoes only, then whole food plant based seems easy after that. So that's great.
Exactly.
Well, it's probably about time that we wrap it up. I've really enjoyed talking to you. You're a fast talker like my wife, and so that's you and my wife Mandy would probably get along great because you guys talk at the same speed. So that's excellent. And but yeah, can you leave us with one little bit of advice if someone's watching this and they're contemplating it? Because I know there are definitely people watching this. They're going, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. They're looking for
Oh,
the
yeah.
the thing that's going to finally work for them. What would you say to that person?
Oh yeah, it's no brainer. Just you sign up with a free program, get involved with the group. You can chit chat and stuff like that because it's like a lifetime thing that you can just set a new path for yourself. The whole like exercise more, eat less doesn't work at all. You just be hungry for the rest of your life, and it's not sustainable. But you do the Sweat Fit program, you retrain your brain, you reset everything. You learn about how to eat healthy. I've learned so much more since starting, just from all the recommended videos and books and everything. Like my whole world's changed 180%. The amount that investment for doing the programs and stuff is absolutely nothing compared to like the money I've saved in just changing my food eating habits. Like I go to the store right now and buy like for Superstore $9, I get like 20 pounds worth of potatoes. Another store has like 10 pounds, or sorry, $10 buys you 50 pounds worth of potatoes. So like I mean,
Oh,
yeah. So like instead of like going to the food court spending like $15 easy just for something to eat for one meal, right? I mean that's like Easily before I spent like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on food to eat, going out, eating
Yeah.
in the food courts and just buying like something at McDonald's or something like that. Here, I mean, I can eat for a whole week on like 10 or $15 worth of potatoes, right?
Yeah. That
The
is a
amount
big
of
thing.
money,
Yeah.
just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars I save monthly over the course of the year. I save not only like thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. My whole health improved. I'm not like being battered by my brain, constantly thinking, oh, I need to eat and stuff like that, right? I've got like, peace of mind. It's completely different. Like the Spud Fit Challenge is completely different than all the other
Yeah.
diets. Even if the outcome, like the outcome after you do the Spud Fit Challenge, you're getting omega foods and stuff. That's similar to some of the other whole food plant-based stuff, like McDougall and stuff like that, or any of these YouTubers and stuff like that. But like, I mean, you go through the transformation prior to doing that, right? So I mean, which is key, right? I mean, it's the transformation of the mind that's going to be paramount to being successful long term, with like eating whole foods plant-based diet and being happy about it, right? Not feel like you're missing out on anything, retraining all your taste buds, and letting go of this desire to eat unhealthy food, because you're not missing out on anything by not eating sugar that's going to kill you, right? Or not eating fat, or fat and sugar and salt and all these processed empty calorie foods and stuff that are addictive, that make you just think about food all the time, and you're not free from that, right?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
love that.
like food is an addiction, right? They have scientists just making formulas to try to make us addicted to eating food. You just want to be like free from all that, right? And freedom is a big thing in life. It's worth thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, the thing to me that stood out the most there was eating simple whole food, plant-based foods, and being happy about it. And
Being
a lot of
happy
people
about it. You don't want to
watching the
you don't want to be like trying to starve yourself for the rest of your life, and being like an unhappy dieter or something like that, when you're not really free from this obsession about food, right? You want to be
yeah,
free from that.
a
You don't
lot of
want to just
people
like be in
would.
good weight, but you want
Yeah,
to be like free of the obsession of like feeling like you need to do something other than what you're doing to get there, right? Just like,
yeah, that's it.
smoker who's not smoking isn't free, unless they cut off this desire to not smoke, right?
Yeah,
Same
for
thing with food.
sure. And I'm
Yeah.
sure people are watching thinking that there's no way that they could ever feel happy about having to eat only potatoes, or
You
happy about
can.
having to eat
Yeah,
whole
you
food
can.
plant-based. But yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be amazed about the mindset shift that can happen when you commit to doing the internal work. The potatoes are great. Potatoes are healthy. Potatoes will help you, change your physical health. But they also, the best thing about them is that they provide you with some space to do that internal work, and fall in love with eating simple, healthy foods again. So yeah, thank you for joining us and
Yeah.
sharing your story, Marty.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure that there's going to be lots of people watching that are going to be inspired by your story, and will have learned a lot from the things you've got to say. And yeah, very, very helpful, and very glad that you're able to share that with us. So thank you again.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'd love to talk to you again in another 6 months, and see how things are going. We'll take it
Perfect.
as it comes.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks, Marty. That was Marty Ritz. Blows your mind, right? And what a change this guy has made. And yeah, he's an amazing part of our group. He's very supportive, and yeah, he's changed his life. It's obvious by interacting with him that his life is different now, and it's never going to be the same. So yeah, thank you for Marty. I'm sure this story will help a lot of people. If it helps you, then that's great. I hope it has. If you're interested in learning more about what we do and how Marty did it, and getting some of that action for yourself, then just click the links below. Go to my website, spudfit.com. You can sign up for free and get started for free, and see if you like it. You can join our Facebook group for free by signing up at the website. Apart from that, please share this video, share it with your friends, and like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and share everything, and help us get the message out. Thanks everyone, and thanks again to Marty. Spud up.